The following video is speculation about Star Citizen, currently in Alpha 3.17.2. After the Science and Star Citizen video, I wanted to make another, this time focusing on exploration. Space. The final frontier. No, wait. That one's been used already. Let me try again. Exploration. From the first tribes of humans following prey animals, to the age of sail where we spent months crossing oceans to strange new lands, humans have always been explorers. We do this in games, too. We scour maps to find all the best spots, all the secret places. It's in our bones. So how will CIG utilize this to create a new game loop? We have no idea. It's easy to assume that exploration, in the truest sense, will be one of the last game loops created. After all, we can't push past the edges of the map until we know where the edges are, or until we have a map. Right now, we can grab our favorite ship and fly down to the surface of a planet or moon and spend hours flying in a straight line, with the occasional stop to check on anything that looks cool. The downside with this is we'll likely never see this place again, as there is nothing to really mark the location. Aside from writing down the distance to maybe other settlements on the planet, we'll probably get close. As anyone that's tried to find Benny Henge or the Javrek, we know we need a better map, or a better mapping system. But what about a totally new system? Unknown to the UEE, you're the first human ship to arrive. You're the captain of the Don't Let My Wife Find Out How Much I Spent on This. It's the finest exploration ship money can buy. We've just come through a jump point, out on the edge of an unmapped system. How would we go about mapping it? A simple ping? Could, but that'd be boring. We'll want details. Sure, a ping may show how many planets there are, but likely not much more. For details on orbits, moons, asteroid belts, we need to spend some time checking things out. I think this is where our choice of ship will come into play. The Kodiak for this would be ideal, as it will have the drones and probes that you can launch to assist with triangulation and scanning. Launch a few of those and we can scan the system very quickly. But say you show up in a 600i. While it has the sensors, it doesn't have the probes. We'll need to scan area by area. It would be far slower, moving through the various points, gradually building the system map. Something along the lines of EVE Online's probe scanning system would be a good example of how this would look. But we will still need to map each planet individually. And how would we go about mapping a totally new planet? Here we are, in orbit above a random planet. Let's assume we're in a Kodiak. We have the cartography room primed and ready to map the planet below, and then we simply fly around the planet, right? Probably not. We know most game loops will be some type of skill-based. And of course, they've always said that they will push it to the edge of realism just to bring it back a few steps to where it's still fun. So let's assume that this is probably going to be a multi-step process. Here's how I would do it. First, we would need to align to the equator of the planet, and then align the sensors to the planet to get as much coverage as possible. And lastly, we would need to tune the sensors to how the planet's atmosphere interacts. I'm picturing a form of a waveform style minigame, where we match everything up. And then we fly along a flight path around the planet. Perhaps even bringing back the spline system that was used for the landing zones that nobody really liked. But that would be perfect for an orbital flight path to stay in your lane. And this would, of course, obviously take time to complete. You would have to fly around a planet. It may even take multiple passes. But once this high-level scan is done, we'd have a basic idea of the overall planet view. Types of biomes, natural formations, oceans, rivers, and such. Which all, of course, gets displayed on that pretty little globe there in the cartography room. With the recent derelicts dropped around Stanton, we know CIG will be able to make some cool things for us to see and explore. But how much of this will need to be found to consider a planet fully mapped? Would it just be the major features? Would it be the major features and minerals? Hopefully it's not everything No Man's Sky style. We don't need to scan 12 different types of fern and 1,000 different types of crab creature to consider a planet scanned. But hopefully it's somewhere more in the middle. Collect soil, air, and water samples from a planet. Considering most of the planets have only a few distinct biomes, only doing 2 to 3 drops for samples wouldn't be that big of a deal. And what about points of interest? Ruins, alien bases, any unusual readings. These would appear as anomalies visible on the map. From there, the captain of the ship may be able to launch a drone to scout these areas, or fill the Pisces with red shirts and send them down to investigate. This would be dangerous, however, as you don't know if you're flying down to a natural cave system inside that crater, or if it's a nest of giant spiders that love the taste of human flesh. Parslant's in the drones. Again, we have no idea how drones will be able to be used, but I imagine they'll have some type of sensor on them to map an area, and there may be specialty ones that can collect the soil, water, and air samples for us. How would we, again, gamify that? How do we turn that into its own skill? As there's no FTL communications in lore, we'll need to figure out a way to control a drone at distance. A simple way would probably be input lag. Between input lag, interference, weather, there's a couple decent options right away for CIG to mess with us. Coupling this even with the current scanning system, I think a good drone pilot might be worth their weight in gold. What about exploration missions? We have basic delivery missions. Why not basic mapping missions? Say you get a mission to map a section of Crusader. Something for a mining company that wants to harvest some of the natural gases that are in that gas giant. But say there's a storm in that section, and they can't get the proper signals from orbit. So you fly down there in your little Pisces, and you have to go back and forth across an area, say about 4 kilometers long, to fill up that little scan to get a proper reading of it. Let's say you get another mission to map a few places around a planet for a mining company. Wants to set up a new base on that planet. You're given a set of coordinates and a basic scan of the planet, but the areas they want to have scanned are all under cover of massive storms, blocking orbital sensors. Do we land an away team to go in and scan the area with vehicles or hand tools? We certainly could, but that would not be the best option in every case. We could also drop off probes or triangulation beacons or scanning satellites that would all then link up to each other and scan the area as we scan it to fill in those maps. Something to give just the orbital sensors a bit of a boost. Those might be more of a delivery mission thing, but I think they'd be more tied to exploration. Sadly, we may not see this in-game for quite a while. But much like our ancestors, we can always look up to the stars and dream.